The Scarecrow, also known by his real name Kenneth Jefferson, is a removed character from Manhunt. He was the former leader of the Smileys, before falling out of favor with Lionel Starkweather, due to him being responsible for the, quote, Pigsy debacle, and has since become just another member of Carcer City, who some members of the community speculate to be the Tramp.
Now, get going. Entertain me.
His persona of being just another member of the city suddenly changes whenever he puts on his mask, and he becomes violent, wielding a homemade axe. During Halloween, Scarecrow also dons a pumpkin mask. The following has been taken from the bio included with Scarecrow's artwork. Formerly the head hunter amongst the Smileys, Kenneth Jefferson was stripped of his mask and rank for being responsible for the Pigsy debacle. Now chastised and long past simple derangement, he sleeps rough in the streets of the arenas, desperately hoping to find and kill Pigsy, and redeem himself in the eyes of the commander and his sponsor. Dressed in rags, he resembles any other derelict, until he dons the mask and weapon of his Scarecrow persona. Jefferson is a crude yet deadly homemade axe, wielding it with savage intensity. If encountered as a tramp, Jefferson just makes indistinct mumblings and typical drunken rants. However, when transformed into the Scarecrow, his past as a Smiley comes to fore, and he descends into maniacal tittering and civilian hissing.
That's why I always enjoyed clowning. Clowning has taken a bad name.
The Clowns are a gang that were cut from Manhunt. The Clowns are a group of mentally ill men with malicious grins on their faces, who wear blue suits and red ties. Numbers 1 through 8 are only distinguished by their face paint, which ranges from menacing clown makeup to more frightening designs. The 9th one resembles Oliver Hardy of the comedy duo Laurel and Hardy.
What do you want?
Don't push it up until I tell you.
The following was taken from the bio included with the Clowns' artwork. The Clowns are the final in-hunt pack that the player meets, and are as extreme as the hunt allows. Laughing and shouting, they pursue runners, mainly for the entertainment. Clowns are the most high-ranked pack within the hunt at present, due to the barring of the Smileys for gross disobedience. Fierce rivalry exists between the two gangs, and although the Smileys are regarded as the superior pack, the Clowns are not to be laughed at. Sponsor James W. Gacy, head of the city's art galleries and museums. Special ability: extremely deadly, but possessing no special talents, beyond the fact they are expert hunters. The Clowns often stored amphetamines and other stimulants during a hunt. Whether or not this enhances their performance is debatable. The Clowns don't care if this enhances their performance or not, they just like the crack of it. Audio, demented laughter, and shouted threats of violence. Binbag is a character that appeared in the beta version of Manhunt, but was dropped from the final version of the game along with the gang he leads, known as the Lost. From pictures we can see that he is a heavy-set man with rotting teeth, wearing an outfit made out of garbage bags and barbed wire, complete with an eye-obscuring mask, and for weapons he would have carried 2 makeshift knives with rusty blades. According to the last part of his description, which describes him as emerging from the shadows, roaring like a madman, he presumably would have been a very animalistic individual, even by the standards of the other hunters. The fact that he was the leader of the Lost would indicate that he was meant to be a boss character like Pigsy or Ramirez, and presumably would have been fought at the end of whatever level would have included them. Unfortunately, not much is known about the cut content or beta versions of Manhunt. This has been all we know about Binbag, the leader of the Lost. Now as for the Lost themselves, the Lost's armor provides excellent camouflage and protection, at the risk of being noticeably noisy or hard to move around in. Their weapons are most likely going to be pieces of junk such as hunks of rusty steel, broken pipes, glass shards, that sort of thing, all improvised into deadly tools. The skins obtained some of their features in the final version of the game, such as roaming around the scrapyard and the use of nail guns. Binbag's early game model and the screenshots of the underlings suggest they were closer to being in the game than the Camheds, Jury, or the Clowns before their models and files were lost. I suppose their name is quite fitting. The Camheds are a rather strange gang that was originally going to appear in Manhunt, but were dropped from the final version. Each member of the Camheds had an actual camera for a head. Although unknown, it is fairly possible that the Camheds were intended to be actual cameramen, and not proper hunters for Cash to face off against. It's also unknown if the cameras were actually their heads, or if it was indeed just some type of equipment hooked up to them, or even just a basic mask. Now, assuming that the Camheds did indeed have actual functioning cameras for heads, that may give an idea as to why they were dropped from the final version of the game, as they would really stand out as an otherworldly, almost alien or robotic type of entity, breaking the player's immersion when the game itself is grounded in a very dark and gritty reality. Now, aside from the cameras, the Camheds stand out as the only gang to be nicely dressed, all of them depicted wearing business suits. Their clothing is very different from the clothing of the rest of the hunters, all of whom either expose their face or have horrifying masks, and who don ragged and ripped up clothing. And as for weapons, they were originally going to be using a spiked bat and a lead pipe, both of which were also cut. The Camheds are definitely one of the more interesting pieces of cut content from Manhunt, and it's quite unfortunate that we don't have more information on them. Here's hoping in a potential Manhunt 3 we may get more information. Were they robots, filming equipment, dressed up in human clothing, or is it simply that they were just another gang of hunters? It's hard to tell. The Jury were an early gang that would become what is now known as the Skins. Some features of the Jury were later carried over to the gang, such as their hockey masks or choice of weapons. This means that unlike gangs such as the Lost or the Camheds, they weren't entirely dropped. No bio for the Jury is provided anywhere. In fact, there is no information about them outside of this image, which reads, "The Jury." Hockey masks are a classic killer design, and although the Jury were dropped as a gang, the masks had to be kept and were adapted onto the Skins gang. Due to the themes of corruption throughout the game, it's probably good to say that they're just like the Carcer City Police Department. Basically just a bunch of corrupt cops or detectives. Basically people that may have seen themselves as more of a good guy than, say, a gang like the Smileys. Interestingly, in Grand Theft Auto 4, there's a pedestrian that wears a shirt that contains an image of a Jury gang member on it. The level for Born Again is named Jury Turf, implying they were once going to be the hunters of this level. And going off of the one image provided, they would have used weapons such as the wooden bat, and if they ended up being more like the Skins, perhaps even the metal bat, the knife, and the nail gun. Unfortunately, this is all we know about the Jury and Manhunt, the one-cut gang that, to a slight degree, still has some sort of presence in the game. Thank you for watching.
Looking for more horror fun?
You're goddamn right.
Then check out the VHS comic book series, a parody of the horror genre that follows the lives of 3 teens as they fight to survive a horror movie, where every day is loaded with blood, boobs, and buds. The first 2 issues can be found in the description below.
I was obsessed.
A is loaded with blood, boobs, and buds. The first 2 issues can be found in the description below.
I was obsessed with the VHS.